Welcome to Team 6 Experts presentation on our favorite movie moments. In this presentation, you will journey through our favorite movie moments, and hopefully, if you haven't seen one of the movies here, you will be enticed to have a look. We will start our presentation with Nick Robertson taking us through his favorite moment in Good Will Hunting.
This scene from our scene showcase is from the movie Good Will Hunting, which follows a young genius and janitor from MIT named Will Hunting who struggles to take the opportunities in front of him because of his troubled past, as his intellect is discovered by this MIT professor. His journey to emotional stability after a troubling childhood comes with a bunch of road bumps and the people who support him, including the professor, a therapist, and his best friends and his love interest, help to create some personal breakthroughs to help him become more emotionally stable and ready to commit. Um, so the scene that I'm talking about is a scene where he's in a fight with his girlfriend Skylar about Will not wanting to commit to her and move to California with her as she goes to graduate school. And he declines to do this because he's afraid to commit because of his past. Um, and Previously, he had lied to her about uh, having 12 brothers and lying about his childhood. And when she confronts him about this, he yells back to her and says that he was an orphan and he had cigarettes put out on him as a kid, and yeah, he then proceeds to talk about how many of his scars aren't from surgery but rather from being stabbed and beat up, and she asks him if he loves her, and he decides to just leave, even though he actually does love her. Um, the impact of this scene, the importance of it is this is like the first time in the movie that Will is truly honest to Skylar about his past and his childhood, and this scene's extremely powerful because of its great acting and the fact that though there are many breakthroughs for Will, a lot of them don't come without the presence of his therapist, Sean, and in conclusion, this scene, it isn't the final breakthrough, but I believe it's the most important breakthrough that we see throughout the movie, and it's a tear-jerking scene that really makes you feel for Will and Skylar because of Will's past and what Skylar's going through in the moment, and the acting is just phenomenal. So yeah.
Now, as we leave the world of Will Hunting, we will journey together to a movie about unlikely friends with the Green Book and Noel Torres.
Hello, welcome to our scene showcase featuring our favorite movie moments. To start, let me introduce the movie I'm going to be speaking about, which is Green Book. It follows two people, Tony Lip, an Italian-American bouncer who's sitting in front of the blue car as the driver, and Don Shirley, the person in the back, who's an African-American pianist. It follows them and their journey through the segregated South of the 1960s as part of Don Shirley's concert tour. And my favorite scene slash moment in the movie came place in the final part of the movie after they completed their concert tour. It takes place in Tony's house, and basically, Tony's sibling asked him about the trip and if Don Shirley irritated him in any way, or if if he bothered him at all. And while doing so, he actually called him a racial slur, in which Tony replied, "Don't call him that." And the reason as to why this scene became my favorite in the movie is because actually earlier in the movie, Tony was faced with a similar circumstance in which they had colored people over that were doing work on his floor, and his wife offered them drinks. And Tony saw that, and once those people left, he got those two cups that they drank out of, and he threw them in the trash. So seeing him from the beginning of the movie to where he is now defending someone of color even when they're not there in front of him, really shows his growth. And seeing that growth is what made me overall just pick this scene as my favorite. And overall, the movie and this scene specifically show how growth within humans is achievable even to those that are very stuck in their ways. As Tony was shown that way, he was very stuck into like who he was and what he is, but in the end he was able to change and grow as a human throughout the entire movie. Thank you guys for listening, and I hope you enjoyed my movie and the scene slash moment I picked. Thank you.
As we continue our journey through movies of unlikely friends, we now discuss Lord of the Rings with Shell Jackson. My favorite movie moment is when Frodo is standing on the cliff of the Fires of Mordor and he is battling his will to toss the ring in. His friend and companion Sam is trying to encourage him to do so. Then he loses the battle with himself. And just as he decides to keep the ring, Gollum comes from nowhere and bites off Frodo's finger and starts to dance with his precious, and then falls off the cliff to the fires below. The ring is destroyed, and so is Gollum. This stands out to me because sometimes we struggle with our choices, and even though we have friends and family encouraging us to do the right thing, we just don't have the strength to do it alone. Gollum, in his rude and hurtful way, ends up getting exactly what he wants, but it destroys him in the end. Now, let us go from unlikely companions to robots and revenge with Rylan Donovan.
So, the movie I will be talking about is Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. I believe this is the single greatest movie of all time, and I believe this is the greatest scene of all time. So, Star Wars Revenge of the Sith is the third movie out of 9 in Star Wars, and I think it's like the biggest building piece of the puzzle in like this whole series. It just has so much character development, so much emotion, so much things. In this movie, you'll experience things like hate, revenge, sadness, especially manipulation for Anakin. So in this scene, the scene is in the second image, that's what I'll be talking about. If you don't know, basically, Anakin's the one in the black robe, and behind him with the blue lightsaber is Obi-Wan, who is his Jedi Master. And during this movie, Anakin gets basically manipulated by the Emperor, who's very evil, and he gets told that like the only way to save his wife from dying is to join the dark side and stuff like that. So Anakin, like, throughout the movie, like, tries to resist, but then at the end, he finally turns to the dark side and becomes his apprentice. And then this scene right here, Obi-Wan comes and confronts him and tries to, like, talk with him. And then Anakin is, like, purely evil now. Like, there's no really turning him back. So he confronts him, and then they start fighting. And this scene has so much impact, and it literally depicts so much manipulation and so much emotion, like so much betrayal, so much hate, so much like they were literally brothers and they loved each other, and now they're like fighting to the death. And Obi-Wan, his master, he defeats Anakin and he burns him in the lava, and then that's why Anakin gets saved and he gets turned into Darth Vader. And it's like literally one of the biggest character developments ever. So that's why this is the greatest movie ever and the greatest scene.
Thank you, Rylan. Now come with us as we turn to life lessons and self-care with the movie The Help and Noor Khalil.
Hello everyone, today I will be talking about one of some favorite scene moments. But before I start, I will be giving you a brief analysis about the whole movie. This movie is called The Help, and from its name, it's gonna talk about the help. This movie is a period drama film written and directed by Tate Taylor. It's talking about a young white woman who wrote a book about mates, especially during the civil rights movement in 1963. At that time, Black American people faced a lot of racism while they worked for white families. And this lady was writing about what these maids are facing and how they were treated badly. One of some characters, her name was Nani, the tall one. Yeah, I'll be talking about her today with this little cute kid and how she reminds this little cute kid how important she is. She kept repeating this word the whole movie. You is kind, you is smart, you is important. Always and always again. And let the little girl repeat it herself. You is kind, you is smart, you is important. To let the little girl stuck in her brain all these words. Even though her mom was treating her very badly, sometimes she punched her on her face, sometimes she shouted in front of her face, but she always go cry in the maid arms because she finds the cure, she finds the love, she finds support, she finds the care she needed. She didn't find it in her mother, she found it in her maid.
And now we move from empowering each other to the French Revolution with Kate Hill.
If Les Miserables is not in your top favorite movies, it's a mistake, and I am ready to change your mind. If you love history, this is definitely a movie you'll want to watch. While not a documentary, it is based on history. It's based on the French Revolution. It shows the lower working class and what they did to survive during this time and to be able to be granted that fairness. While the movie itself is incredible, the person I want to focus on, the one character that I think is the star of the show, is Fantine. She did whatever it takes to survive. She was a seamstress working in a horrible environment, getting bullied, bad job conditions, bad boss, and got fired. Knowing she needed the money not only for herself but to keep her daughter alive, who was being housed by innkeepers, she turned to the streets and went to shave her head, even pulled teeth in order to save her daughter. She went through incredible lengths to do whatever she needed to do, one of which was being a prostitute on the docks. She knew that if she needed to save her daughter, she would do whatever it takes, including going through that hardship. She shows what it takes to be a mother, that a mom would do anything for their child, and that is just amazing. Her song, I Dreamed a Dream, is her way of expressing the life she wished she had. She wanted to be with her ex, be with their child, and have a happy life, not be going through the pain and suffering of having to sell yourself just to keep yourself alive. While it was a very short role, she showed the strength that it takes to care for your children, and that a mother would do anything. She would sacrifice anything for her child. This scene alone is convincing enough to want to watch the movie, let alone the movie itself being based on such amazing history.
Thank you for listening as we shared our favorite movie moments. We hope that you have enjoyed this journey through different movies with us.